Hey, how goes it, chillers? It's me, your friendly neighbourhood Vastman, and this is Vast Fire's Back, episode 2. And the timing of this series has been very fortuitous, because I just watched the review and now I've got to vent about it and get it off my chest. You'll know from the thumbnail and the vid title I'll be going in pretty hard on this one, so strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, because my patience has worn paper thin with this absolute tool, and now I must shame him. Just a mild roasting with maybe a side order of humiliation. You feel me? So who is this jabroni who has earned my wrath? Yep, it's Scaredy Matt again from the Scaredy Cats channel. Look, I'm going to stay well clear of the mountain of horrible takes he has on horror films. I have refuted him thoroughly on that a couple of times now, but I have just now come to the realisation that I reckon that this dude is totally bogus. And this is what I'm going to show you, and none of it is subjective or out of context. Right, okay, so this is how it went down. Peep this. You know I'm working on a horror battle video where I'm pitting two twin movies that came out in the same year. It's Wes Craven's Shocker and House 3 the Horror Show. Well, I remembered Matt had reviewed the whole House franchise, so I was wondering just how bad his take was going to be on House 3. I've already given him a pretty good smackdown on his House 1 review, so I'm not interested in wasting time on another video essay. And House 3, it's not like a beloved horror film for me, so I don't think my heart would be in it anyway. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's a cool little film. It's a ton of fun if you watch it in the right frame of mind. But at this point, just curious. So anyway, it turns out I must have watched like at least the first 3 House reviews from like way back in 2020. Because I found a couple of my comments on the video. So as a quick aside, I'm going to show you an example of just how delusional Matt can be. So I think this is going to show you pretty well what a loose grip on reality Matt's got. So in his comment section of his House 3 review, I wrote a comment. It was actually a reply to someone else's comment, and they had commented saying, Matt, you didn't even mention Shocker in your review, and Shocker and House 3, they're very much alike, which they are. Anyway, I replied to that guy and I said, haha, brilliant comment, how did Matt not even mention the similarity with Shocker? Fair enough. So Scaredy Matt, he replied and he said, it's actually not much like Shocker at all, because the killer does nothing related to electricity despite being made of electricity. What? They're nothing alike? Are you for real? So I replied to him, and this is what I said. Wait, what? Both movies are about serial killers. Both movies have the villain caught at the very start. Both have the villain electrocuted and surviving the first jolt. Both have the villain using electricity to come back. Both have the villain appearing inside the TV. Both have the villain invading the protagonist's dreams. Yeah, it's completely different. Yeah, it's nothing alike. What were we thinking? And then I continue. And yet in your House review, you said that House is a rip-off of The Shining simply because the protagonist is writing a book in a haunted house. Consistent much? Shocker, House 3. Oh, they're nothing alike. One person in the world thinks that, and it's Matt. No, just no. Anyway, I don't remember the content of the review, so I watched it, and that is what set me off. Firstly, he did something in the video he's done like a few times. It may seem like pretty insignificant, but there comes a point where it becomes indicative of like a pattern of behaviour, and you have to conclude that it's either gross negligence or it's intentional. And in Matt's case, I think it's a combination of the two. So what am I talking about specifically? Well, Matt, he's constantly going out of his way to point out and reference characters' names in his negative reviews. So he'll like highlight the name and then come out with a quip about it, which inevitably comes down to just ridiculing the name to undermine the significance of the character. Like to say, oh, don't like this guy, he's got a stupid name, or he's that guy you all know from this other better thing. He's just slumming it in this shitty film. It's a pretty cheap shot, but I think the mindset is, if I get a laugh out of it, well, who cares, right? Bullies, they use the exact same psychology. Believe me, I know. I recognised it instantly. And of course it also shows he doesn't have enough genuine criticisms of the film or paid enough attention. He's doing the exact same thing when he says, you know, I'm going to skip a massive chunk of the film.
Just going to skip over a third of the movie now because it's boring. And I'm just going to skip over about a third of this movie because it's irritating filler.
That really gets on my nerves. You know, because one, he does it a lot. And two, I mean, what kind of a bullshit cop-out is that where you're doing a spoiler review and you miss big chunks out of it? Anyway, and three, it allows him to skate over a bunch of like enjoyable and memorable scenes that will be in the film, so he can stick with a narrative he's committed to, that the film's just crap. Anyway, back to the character name stuff. You know, I've mentioned all this before in other videos, but this really helps to make my point. So, example one. In House, Roger Cobb's neighbour is played by George Wendt, who is famous from Cheers. He plays Norm in Cheers. So Matt, in his review, he'll be like, oh, Roger Cobb's neighbour, he's called Howard. He's called Howard, but you all know him as Norm from Cheers. So like for the rest of the review, if I mention Howard, I'm not going to say Howard, I'm going to say Norm. Because, you know, you all know him from Cheers. Just call him Norm. I mean, the thing is, though, he's not called Howard or Norm. He's called Harold. I mean, were you not paying attention?
Now, George Wendt's character in this movie is named Howard.
He is named Howard. Howard.
So any regular review, they probably wouldn't even mention the neighbour's name, but Matt needs to do it because he needs to have that gag about Cheers, but he ends up, you know, messing up the names. And the second example is Nightbreed. So one of the main characters in it is called Lalsberg, and he's played by Doug Bradley, who also plays Pinhead in the first few Hellraiser films. So again, in Matt's review, he'll like say, oh look, Doug Bradley's in this film, he plays Pinhead. But in this one, oh, it's so funny. His name's Dirk.
The Breed refer to themselves as the Tribe. They're led by an elder, hilariously named Dirk.
Oh my god, what a funny name. Oh my goodness. But the crack is, in the movie, he's not called Dirk. He's called Lalsberg in the whole movie. Nobody calls him Dirk in the whole movie. You know, Matt must have went to IMDb, looked down the cast list, saw Doug Bradley, who plays Pinhead, and saw the name Lalsberg, but they stick his first name in there as well. It just happens to be Dirk. Just happens to be Dirk. So he goes, oh look, funny name, I'll stick that in, you know, get a cheap laugh. It's all very sad really. But he's the kicker, and this is why I'm mentioning it. In his House 3 review, this jizzbag, he does both. Not only does he get the main titular villain's name wrong, he then proceeds to take the piss out of said name. Take a look.
House 3 was intended to kickstart a new franchise following the movie's villain, Max Jenkins.
Max Jenkins. Max Jenkins.
Max Jenkins is the name of that scary man.
But it's not his name, is it, you turkey? They only say his name like 30 times throughout the flipping movie.
Jenky will slaughter that little girl.
Jinky! Get Jinky! See Jinky die. Fucking Jinky up.
Come on, Jenky.
Max Jinky. Max Jinky. Max Jinky. Jinky. Jinky's Max Jinky.
Jenky.
Jenky. It's Jenky.
Jenky.
Jenky. Max Jenky. Jenky's head. Jenky. Max Jenky. Jenky. Jenky.
Jinky. Jinky.
Jenky.
Let her go, Jinky.
Fuck you!
This ain't just a massive fail on Matt's part. It is 100% deliberate and calculated. I am sure of it. There's no way he's getting that name wrong by accident. If there's one character whose name you're gonna remember long after you watched House 3, it's Max fucking Jenky. Matt knows fine well what the character's name is. I mean, how could he not? He purposely, in a completely willful act of deception, twists it so he can tell this lame-ass Scooby-Doo joke. Have a look and tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not.
Why did they name the character who's supposed to be scary Jenkins? Like, it's... all I can think about is Velma from Scooby-Doo saying Jinkies. Like, this is the guy that's supposed to be the head of the friend anyway.
Real dick move there, Matty boy. What kind of a douchebag does that? And you know what makes it that much more ridiculously hilarious? Well, apparently, Matt recently came out as being a non-binary individual. Yeah, I had to look it up myself. It's someone who does not identify as exclusively a man or a woman. Someone who is non-binary might feel like a mix of genders. So why do I mention that? Who gives a shit, right? Well, this dude who likes to make fun of people's names, he sometimes goes by, wait for it, Mildred. Fucking Mildred. The guy who says, oh Dirk, what a silly name. Oh Jenkies, why do they call him Jenkies? They fucking don't. I mean, he goes by Mildred. Are you taking the piss? I mean, to be fair, he also identifies as a horror tuber. And to be honest, I don't even know which label I find more far-fetched and preposterous. So some of you may be thinking, oh, but Vas, we all make mistakes. You know what I say to that? Suck it. At this point, you cannot put it down to just plain low effort carelessness. There's nothing more fundamentally basic when doing a review than getting the main characters' names right. I mean, obviously, he just watched the movie to get the review out. He's too busy looking for the jokes, finding an angle he can take to fit his style. I mean, it's an obvious mess to anyone who's like seen the movie recently. It's so disingenuous and cynical. I mean, come on, would it have killed him to at least watch the movie properly the first time and then on the second go, take them notes or whatever? This is what Matt's playing at. This is his game, I'm telling you. He's crafting the movie review around the narrative he's already decided, which is arse backwards. I mean, it's shameful, really. What a shifty, sneaky trickster. And I'm not finished. And then, he makes another flop joke comparing Brian James, God rest his soul, with Bill Bailey.
Max is meant to be intimidating, I guess, but he just looks like Bill Bailey to me. All I see is a big nerd in a trench coat with a dorky little beard. Nothing about him is scary, and I feel like I could kick his ass no problem, even though he's probably got 1.5 feet on me. And I'm a weak little baby boy.
I mean, is this guy for real? It's like the laziest comparison you could possibly make. I mean, what? Because they both have a slap head, mullet and goatee. That's just fucking embarrassing. By that very same logic, I could say, how can anyone find Scaredy Matt to be a funny horror tuber when he looks like a fat, annoying, smug dildo? Look, smug dildo, Scaredy Matt, same thing. And Max Jenky isn't intimidating? Y'all check out his Green Mile walk to get executed and tell me he's not the last person in the world you want to fuck with. The awesome character actor Brian James, who plays Meat Cleaver Max, he was a staple as a heavy in the 80s and 90s. He was all over the place. You think the 99% of the roles where he was cast as a baddie is because he wasn't in the least bit intimidating? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Matt's off his fucking rocker. Jenky is a total badass.
Glad you could make it, cop.
Make your peace. May God have mercy on your soul.
Any last words, Jenky?
Blow it out your ass, Pinhead.
All right, let's get on with this.
Your worst fucking nightmare, Lucas. I'm it. All I did was give me a hard on.
Increase the voltage.
Yeah, increase the voltage, shithead!
And what really gets my goat is that no fucker even pulls this dude up on any of it. These retarded simps eat his shit up like it's a goddamn bag of Doritos. I swear Matt has come straight out of the upside down, cause the shit this dude spews is the exact opposite of reality. I think he's got fucking worms in his brain. Check this out.
So Detective Lucas McCarthy, played by Lance Hendrickson, an actor you've actually heard of.
Really? He doesn't know who Brian James is? Blade Runner, 48 Hours, another 48 Hours, The A-Team, Enemy Mine, Crime Wave, Red Heat, Tango and Cash, The Fifth Element. Oh yeah, he's a total unknown. Good grief. Well, that's it. I'm finished with this guy. But I'll leave you with this nugget. This fucking charlatan has 60,000 plus subscribers. And he's a total, pure, complete and utter bellend. Confirmed. And that, my friends, concludes our broadcast here. As the sun sets slowly in the west, I shall bid you a fond farewell. So long, chillers. Oh, and one last thing. Scaredy Matt, Mildred, whatever your name is, kiss my ass.
You go on and you don't stop. Got sticky sneakers from the blood of a shot cop. Built in the club, I'm leaving tracks on the white rug. Punk tried to rip and he met double lot of slug. I ain't the nigga to step to. I'm catching bodies and the next one could be you. Quick on the trigger, yo, I'm a grave digger. Chop up a body in deep six, I'm in the river.